there is a distinct relationship between four disparate elements in any high performer's life. And usually when I'm trying to coach myself or others, I try to identify these four elements so that people can work toward bettering whatever the factors are within those elements that may be limiters to what they're trying to accomplish. I usually talk about things in terms of outcomes, and it's important that I make that designation or that distinction, I should say, because not all performance metrics are necessarily the outcomes that you were trying for. And it's important to note that. If you don't know what your performance metrics are and how they are different than your outcomes, it's very easy to get confused as far as your goal setting is concerned. And we don't want that. When I sit down with a person to discuss what their desired outcomes are, performance is an aspect of that, but it isn't the all of that. And what I find with a lot of people when we're talking about performance management for specific outcomes is that they have a tendency to overemphasize performance and to underemphasize the other three elements that I think are equally important and in many ways foundational to a successful performance outcome. It'll be easier to explain this if I write it up on this whiteboard for you. Here's how it works. We've already talked about the fourth element, which is performance, and performance is important if we're trying to achieve specific outcomes. But there are three other elements that we have to consider. Otherwise, performance probably won't occur for us. Or if we force performance, one of the other three, maybe all three, will suffer because of that forcing. The first consideration you have to give is to health. And I mean health from a very broad standpoint. There's no point in chasing performance if you're going to be sick and injured all the time. Sometimes both, depending on what your goals are. So if we focus on health, we find that health begets performance. It's not the other way around. That's our number one concern in any plan that we're making to achieve any desired outcome. But the second thing we have to take into consideration that often gets overlooked is wellness. Wellness, well-being, or mental health, however you want to categorize it, it deserves its own separate and distinct considerations. If you focus on health and ignore things like wellness, you're missing out on an unbelievable resource as far as keeping you focused on your goals, especially when you get into those dark times where things aren't necessarily going your way. You can categorize this as mental health and physical health as far as 1 and 2 are concerned, but I prefer to think of health holistically, and that means that wellness gets more consideration because as its own category, my expectation for a client or even myself is that I'm going to have modalities that address wellness, well-being, and mental health specifically, not just health overall. This is where things get more familiar, and this is just simply fitness. When we talk about fitness, we're talking about the specific adaptations to whatever imposed demands are being made upon you. I don't know what your desired outcomes are in this particular moment, but when we audit what those outcomes are, it's very easy for us to reverse engineer what they are to create a plan that addresses health, wellness, and fitness. If we do that properly, if we address those three elements and we do it in a robust, realistic manner, then we get the fourth element. And that's performance. As I was walking through the bookstore, you could see that there are different genres and sections for every aspect of performance. But if you're not addressing health, wellness, and fitness before performance, the cost you pay to achieve whatever your desired outcome is will be too much.